We are on the brink. Whee! So, for those of you itching to get in there and start leaping from bench to bench, I'm afraid it's kept locked. And with very good reason. About 18 years ago now, there was an elderly couple in there, in their 80s apparently, who was holding her hand, and as she attempted to leap from bench to bench, she didn't make one of them. She ended up with a leg through glass panel, badly cut, and a dislocated hip. And it was just the excuse the local authorities were looking for, to turn around and say, too many people in there at once is too dangerous. So, I'm afraid, yeah, it has been kept locked for many, many years. So, what do you think? Is it bigger, smaller, same size as you thought it was going to be, or? About right. Well, this was actually the smallest of the 3 gazebos that Hollywood built. And this was the one that was in the garden next to the lake. And you were never going to see it up close. You were only going to see this one in the background. So it didn't need to be that big, it just needed to be there. In the end, you saw it twice, briefly. When the captain and the baroness got back from Vienna, they went for that little walk through the garden, discussing their future just before the boating scene. And that is when we saw it. And normally, for twice in the background, Hollywood would build a prop and then rip it down again afterwards. But because of the problems at Leopoldskron and building the terrace in the grounds, they agreed with the owners they'd leave it there as a thank you, and so they built it as a permanent building, which is actually why it's still here for everybody to look at today. The other 2 gazebos in the Hollywood studio, they were bigger and they were seen more often up closer. The first of those was also only seen in the background though, not quite so far away, but in the nighttime garden scene. So when Rolf and Liesl first met up at the beginning of 16 going on 17, you saw that one behind them, and then later on, when the captain and Maria were staring lovingly into each other's eyes, singing a Something Good love song, you saw it again. And the 3rd gazebo, by far and away the biggest of the 3, that is the one where all the dancing took place, again in the Hollywood studio, so it didn't have a complete roof like this one, partial roof, lots of lighting shining down on the actors inside, and there was about 1/3 of the gazebo missing on one side, because that's where the cameras were lined up filming all the dancing. So you are starting to see how sneaky and devious Hollywood are when they make movies. 3 different locations were used to create the image of the Von Trapp house for the movie. 3 different gazebos were built to look like one. And I'm sure many of you are aware the actress who played Liesl, Shemaine Carr, she sadly passed away in 2016, aged just 73, way too young. The following year, the local authority erected a plaque on the wall there in her memory. So we're going to give you about 5 minutes here, guys, to help each other get pictures with the gazebo and the plaque, and to use the restrooms. Now, we recommend strongly you do try and use the restrooms here, because the next rest stop is much, much later on, out in the countryside, and there is a slim chance that we're going to encounter a few delays along the way, because there's an electronic music festival going on that we pass by.